Let me ask you a question. Thinking of your life right now and what you've been up to, the state of the world, are you currently building a legacy or are you just hustling? Okay, that's my question. My name is Ángela Quijada-Banks, and let's get into it. So, this will actually be coming out of my book, The Black Foster Youth Handbook 50 Plus Lessons I Learned to Successfully Age Out of Foster Care and Holistically Heal. And well, in the book, I break it up into 4 phases, the 50 plus lessons into 4 phases, and we dive deep into, what does it really mean to be successful? And how do we want to move forward in our own personal definitions of success? So that is what we will be coming into. And this is from lesson 38, phase 3, which is ascension. So, yes. All right, so let's kick it off with a quote by Dr. Rabi. Success isn't just what you accomplish in your life, it's about what you inspire others to do. So, with that, take a moment and I want to know, how do you define success? A lot of people define success with graduating from high school or college, um, making a lot of money and able to afford lavish materials, right? Like nice cars and jewelry and um, certain types of clothing, right? I used to be one of those people. Um, and to an extent, I still am. Moving away from their hometown, I met so many people as I've traveled across the nation and other countries to, really hearing people in Japan, people in London, people in Paris. And one of their versions of success is to move away from there, come to California, or go to New York or travel to Florida. And once they're able to afford to do that, they feel that that is success. And um, lastly, a major one that people say is being able to give back to their families. And I can 1,000% relate to that. I think that that was one of my number one motivations just throughout my life is being able to give back to my family. So through my journey of life, I know what hustling is, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I really was curious about like what the official definitions were like in the dictionaries and online. So I went to dictionary.com, and this is kind of what I found. So the art of hustling, because I really believe that hustling is an art form, and what dictionary.com defines it as is a verb, and it gave me 2 definitions. One was force, someone to move hurriedly or unceremoniously, which I think that's funny, unceremoniously, okay, in a specified direction. So their example was they hustled him into the back of a horse-drawn wagon. First of all, where are the horse-drawn wagons in 2020? But anyway, that's another conversation. Number 2 was informal North American. Okay. Obtained by forceful action or persuasion. The example is the brothers headed to New York to try and hustle a record deal. So I noticed a kind of trend here, right? It's like hurried and, just kind of wild actions, forceful, and there's like this persuasion element, like a finesse element, okay? So I'm like, interesting. That's what dictionary.com defines as hustling. Okay. And so I went to Merriam-Webster. So Merriam-Webster has two definitions, and they define it as a transitive verb. One is to crowd or push roughly, and 1B is to convey forcibly or hurriedly. So again, these same adjectives um, and adverbs of doing something forcingly and hurriedly and persuasion and shoving and jostle, as you can see. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because it just brought me back to my stories of hustling, okay, just hustling, trying to stay afloat in my finances. And, it brings me back to when I got out of foster care. And I didn't age out smoothly, as I talk about in my book. I did not age out smoothly at all. I was given a 7-day notice because I reported my foster parent for different situations that I didn't feel safe and other things. So I immediately had to find somewhere to be, and I looked on Craigslist. I was going back to school in less than 5 days. So even though I was given a 7-day notice, I knew I really only had 3 days. Um, and I realized that, I was going to have to figure it out. And so I was also in a relationship at that time, and it wasn't a healthy relationship at all. So, here I am, 19, going to be 20, moving into this Craigslist place that I found. And my significant other wasn't very supportive of certain things. And so financially, I realized I was really going to have to step my game up. And after I had two jobs, I was trying to reach out to birth family and different people just to stay afloat. And I finally realized I was going to have to drop out of school in order to support myself financially and get more time for jobs and, to make some money, some real money. And so unfortunately, I had to leave that job. Again, I'm not in this great relationship at all. And I find myself working 16 to 20-hour days. And no, I didn't like mix up the numbers, like 16 to 20-hour days. It kind of was like shifts of me moving from one job to babysitting to um, pet sitting to I believe I was selling solar panels at the time. And, it was like $10 an hour jobs or $14 an hour jobs. And, not a lot of people knew that I was struggling like this because on a social media level, I was like, hashtag got 4 jobs, always busy, this persona of like always being busy, right? And I think like sometimes we can all fall into that. My family would always advise me to hustle harder, work harder. And if anything came up, then it would be like that I wasn't hustling hard enough, that I wasn't working hard enough. And even though I had 3 jobs at one point, I was pushed, to get another one because I had to make ends meet. And so I ended up getting another job. So I have 4 jobs, you know, less than 4 hours of sleep. And going that way, I knew still within myself, like at one point in my life, I'm going to be able to give back to my communities and um, just so many different huge aspirations, which I 1,000% think that we all need to dream big and think big. Um, but the only way that we're really going to be able to realize those dreams and aspirations is if we really take a good look at ourselves. And so moving from, reacting to an urgent situation to being proactive about our situations. And maybe we put out, a fire here because like when we're in a survival mode, it's like we have like a million fires going on at once, and we try to pour on one fire and alleviate one fire, and then the other fire is like the other millions of fires, right, are just like burning down everything. You're just like going crazy trying to put out all these fires. And that's what I was doing with those 4 jobs. I had all these different bills and family situations happening, family coming up to me and telling me they needed support and financial stability and all the things. Okay. And I just felt very overwhelmed. Like I'm really trying here, but at the same time, I feel like I'm running in place. I feel like I'm just, 20-hour work days. And how do I only have, $10 or $30 left or nothing left? Sometimes in the negatives. Okay. And I'm still trying to withdraw money, checking my bank account, like, do I have enough money to get this, cheeseburger? Because at the time I was eating meat. I don't eat meat anymore. But whew, it was a journey. Well, I don't eat pork and beef anymore. And so, really making sure that we're not making ourselves get stuck in the survival mode scenarios, and recognizing our communities, that the people that we're surrounding ourselves and that are feeding our minds, and the information that is feeding our minds, because I mean, I was priding myself in being able to hustle, like Beyonce talks about, like, a diva is a female version of a hustler, of a hustler, of a a. So you pride yourself on being like, I'm a diva, I'm an independent, woman, I'm an independent man, whatever it is. And I'm a hustler, I'm gonna get it by any means necessary. And that's cool, whatever. But at the same time, like, for how long? What's the end goal? Um, what are you hustling towards? And are you making any real traction towards that goal and dream with what you're currently doing? So that is the point where I realized, hmm, there must be something that I don't know. There must be something that is missing. Um, because I'm running in place, I'm going hard, I'm working hard, long and hard hours, doing all these different things, and there's always something that's coming up. There's always something that I'm missing. Like, so that's when I started really thinking about it and trying to get clear on, like, what is it that I'm missing? Um, and so my question to you is, you know, when you're going through your career and you're going through your day-to-day life, are the actions that you are displaying to yourself and others, are they rooted in purpose? Or is it rooted in survival mode and you trying to figure out financially how to support yourself? And do you feel empowered in what you're doing? Like I said, whew, I was working so many hours, 16-hour, 20 hours a day. And it isn't until I really had to be real with myself. And so, that's what I'm asking you to be with yourself. You don't have to be, real with anybody else but yourself. Okay. Um, that's where it starts. Are you rooted in survival mode? Are you chasing financial gain? Or are you rooted in your purpose and, you know, wanting to give back to the communities that you come from? And I can't answer that question for you. You got to answer it for yourself. Right? So be yourself, be honest with yourself, and ask yourself, am I really rooted in purpose? And, do I feel empowered by the work that I'm doing? And am I empowering others with the work that I'm doing? Am I empowering them to leave a legacy? Am I empowering them to lead a life full of purpose? So, moving past stagnant hustle mode, right? Stagnant hustle mode is, like I said, it's like you're running really, really fast in place and like you feel the wind and everything is like, oh, it should be like I should be going faster, but it's like a placebo effect and like you're still in the same place. So, we got to move past the stagnant hustle mode, right? Like always being busy and like, someone's asking you what you're up to. Oh, I'm busy. I got this and this going. Really. And when you're with yourself, when you're by yourself and you look at the actual numbers, right? The numbers in your bank account, the numbers of years that have gone by, and you're looking back at the years that have gone by in your life and you realize, wow, I still haven't done XYZ things that I wanted to do, whether that's, producing a song, writing that book, um, building a powerful and impactful business, um, getting into that career that you've been called to, but you keep on putting it off. So we really have to move past the stagnant hustle mode mentality and behaviors and really get into our own discovery, or I'd like to say rediscovery of uncovering our divine purpose and understanding that we don't have competition with anyone else's purpose. We don't have competition with anyone else's experience because there's an abundance of wealth, money, um, joy, freedom. So, that we really need to shift our mindset from being stagnant in hustle mode and more into a flow, more into a flow of our purpose and the legacy we want to leave behind. Leave behind in the legacy that we're building as we are alive, right? So, we really want to hustle with a plan. A purpose and a plan is part of my coaching program that I dive deeper into with my clients. And it's just, mindset shift and uh, from hustling to legacy. And so that's also what I'm sharing with you here today. So, going back into that, the work that you are doing currently, is it rooted in your purpose? Do you feel fulfilled? And are you free to do what you desire while you're operating in your purpose? And secondly, community, right? So shifting to legacy building means also thinking about your communities that you have come from and that you're currently a part of, um, and not forgetting about those communities that you've come from. For me, that's several different types of communities, including the foster care community, and the low wealth communities where you just have no idea how to get out of financial barriers and bondage. I refer to a lot. So, you know, making sure you're remembering those communities that you came from. And, even if you have one nugget that you can give back, making sure that your legacy that you're building and that you will leave behind just opens even a smallest little window of hope for someone coming behind you. And during my research for purpose and before I launched my purpose coaching program, my beta coaching program, um, I did a lot of research, statistically and also person to person. And so I surveyed and talked with over 100 young women, and I learned that it really was true statistically of what I read, and had my own statistics that over 90% of these people, um, unfortunately didn't know what their purpose was. And it affirmed that, whether they were 19, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, a lot of people didn't know what their purpose was. And those that had a sense of what their purpose was didn't fulfill it. And the time that I had surveyed them. and recognizing that a lot of people, statistically 90%, die without fulfilling their purpose. And I don't want you to be one of those 90%. In fact, I wish it wasn't even 90%, but that's the reality. And it's only going higher, right? Because we have so many different other things to focus on, and we get trapped in that survival mode, hustle, and grind. And I think there's just so much more to life than survival mode. So, what is your motivation behind getting up every single day? What's your motivation? Beyond paying the bills, what are some things that you'd like to do before you leave this earth that you have yet to do? Why haven't you done them yet? Are you afraid of doing it? Are you afraid what others may think? Are you afraid of yourself and your own capabilities? Are you afraid of change? Are you afraid and you don't know why you're afraid, but just afraid? Are you making excuses? And if you are making excuses, what can you do today to alleviate those excuses, to alleviate the problem that blocks you from truly living a life that you are genuinely excited about and not dreading, like waking up like, oh my gosh, like here we go again, like can't wait till Friday, hashtag TGIF, because that sounds a little depressing. What is your legacy? To be honest, everyone has a legacy already. It's just whether or not it's impactful in a good way or a bad way. So, currently, what is the legacy that you're building? We are all building a legacy. That's the truth. And, it's either on one spectrum or the other. Either you're building a legacy of assets, something that you are proud of, that other people are excited about for you and with you, something that will aid your lineage and your community in passing down after you have passed on, into the next life. Are you passing on, freedom, excitement, and the hope of possibility? Or are you currently building a legacy of a liability? And that's something that, you're ashamed of, others are ashamed of. Are you passing down debts and bills as a legacy? We're just having an honest conversation right now. So I'm just trying to hear from you. Are you passing down pain, confusion, trauma, and stress? What kind of legacy are you leading behind right now? What kind of legacy are you moving forward in as you're living and breathing right now? What has been your track record? So let's take a look at how we can start building our legacy. I think there's so many different levels of where you could be right now, where you're starting from. But I also want you to know that just because, maybe it hasn't been the best and the clearest track record so far, you still have time. Now, it's important not to waste any more of it, but you still have time. So, step one would be to be real with yourself. Some of the questions that I've asked here today are for you to be real with yourself, to be honest about, if you have just been hustling, have you just been hustling, without a clear objective? And two, getting clear on what you want. What do you want out of life? The easiest thing to do would be to really think about that and take a journal of some kind and really just write it all down. And I've heard people say to me, a lot of my clients, when I first get them in my purpose coaching program, they talk about, like, I don't really want to write it down. I have it all in my head. And throughout, the weeks that we're working together, I learned that they end up, purchasing a journal, and that becomes part of their routine because they see the benefits. And the benefits are really just not letting things just jumble up in your brain, because there's so many things to think about, especially today and this time and this age. There's so much going on all the time. And I think when you make something more meaningful is when you put a pen to paper, or pencil to paper, or marker to paper, right? And just really write out what you want to materialize into a reality, your reality. And that's one of the ways, right? You're literally pulling it out from your brain and putting it on a physical plane. So, get that done. And then write out 3 months, the next 3 months. So, for instance, right now, the next 3 months are this is October, right? So it'd be November, December, and January. And then I want you to put under those months, I want you to write specific activities that you want to do. And you can put like the top two, top one, top three. I wouldn't go any farther than three, so that way, you can keep up with the progress that you're making. And just start making a plan. I want to start running um, at 6 a.m. every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, right? So you write that down for every 3 months. That's one of the goals that you want to have. Um, and what is your first step, right? And secondly, surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Who else in your circle? And maybe they're not even in your circle. Okay, let's get real. They might not even be in your circle. So you might have to go out and go on Facebook groups. Um, Look around in your current community and see, are there other like-minded individuals, people that are interested in doing what you want to do? Because it truly is impactful to have people that are on the same playing field, the same mindset, and have similar goals to you. Because once you're seeing them get the traction in something that you both have agreed to do, it'll motivate you to want to do it too. Or you'll feel like, you're getting behind, and that little urge will push you to want to do more. And lastly, just do it. I think for me, in order to have gotten out of all the different crazy situations that I was into, as I said, working 4 hour jobs, 4 jobs, 16-hour days, 20-hour days, um, paying other people's bills, having a lack of boundaries, just so many different things. I had to be real with myself. I had to get clear on what did I really want out of life. I had to make a plan, and I had to just do it. I didn't need to have any excuses about, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, then YouTube it, read books around it. Like, if you don't know something, that's great. Now, go and find the answers. Once you find the answers, do it. Just take one step. And that one step could be for you to go and find the answer. The next step could be for you to apply one of the many things that need to be done to completely change your life and put you in a place to, be living in your purpose and building an impactful, positive legacy without excuses, right? So, what I'd like to say is legacy builders equip, collaborate with, and inspire other legacy builders. So, hustlers, it's more so of focusing on yourself, and it's rooted in financial gain or survival mode. And I think like you can definitely be someone that hustles towards a legacy, but at the same time, you know, you'll know within yourself the difference. So, what do you want to be moving forward? Do you want to be a hustler, stuck in survival mode, running hard and fast, and still being in the same place? Or are you looking to be a legacy builder? What is a legacy that you really want to build? And who are you doing it for? Why are you doing it? What is your purpose? The choice is yours. And who am I? My name is Ángela Quijada-Banks. I'm a purpose coach, I'm an author, and I'm an artist. I'm also a Reiki master. Some services that I provide are spoken word, photography, author coaching, purpose coaching, and I help you get your one-page business plan together. I also offer some classes, which is the Sacred Women's Circle and a few others. And my most recent book is the Black Foster Youth Handbook and the story of foster care in collaboration with the Empty Frames Initiative, and my ebook 7-Day Raw Cleanse. Again, thank you so much for listening in. I hope that your legacy is on the rise. I look forward to connecting and collaborating with you. If you would like to connect with me, here is my information. You can follow me on Instagram at Original Soulflower, and you can check me out on my website, originalsoulflower.com. And if you're interested in the Black Foster Youth Handbook, that would be www.blackfosteryouthhandbook.com. Until we meet again, I hope you have an incredible day and continue to build your legacy. Don't just be hustling. All right, peace.